Hi guys, so welcome to the day 13 of our algebra review camp. So today is like practically the last day for the pre-algebra. So today we'll be talking about the simple equations, okay? So the reason why we are learning the algebra, like using the letters to represent numbers or all the other things is because we want to use equations. So with the equations, we can actually just write down the equations based on, like say, any conditions, and then we can just solve for the variables. Okay, so that's why we need to learn all of this algebra. And now, so for the equations, we do have some properties. Okay, so when we add, subtract, multiply, or divide the same number on both sides of the equations, the equal sign still holds. Okay, so this is the most important properties of the equations. So only because of these properties, we can do these fancy operations with the equations. And then how can we solve, say, the simple equations? So we can first move all the terms with the variables to one side, and then all the constants to the other side. And then we can just divide the coefficients of the variables on both sides so that we can solve the equation. Okay, so let's first look at the practice. So for the first one, if we know that x equals to 1, okay, and then we add a 1 on the left-hand side. So to keep this equal sign, if we add a number on the left-hand side, we should also add this number on the right-hand side. So since we added 1 on the left-hand side, we can also add a 1 on the right-hand side. So if we want to keep this equal sign, then make sure we add the same number on both sides. Now, if we have 2a equals to 6b, and then we see that now we have no coefficients for the a, and which means that the coefficient for a just equals to 1. Okay, so how do we go from 2a to a? So we have to divide this by 2, right? So only if we divide this by 2, we get our a. Now we need to do the same operation with the right-hand side. So we need to also divide a 2 on the right-hand side so that we have a 3b. Okay, so 6b divided by 2 equals to 3b. So we are missing a number 3 here. Okay, so again, if you want to divide or multiply a number, make sure we do that on both sides. Now, let's see if we can use this property to solve some of these equations. Okay, so for the first one, we know we have 2x plus 5 equals to 13. So what is the value of the x? So the first step is just to move all the variables to one side and then the numbers to the other side. And since we have no variables on the right-hand side, why don't we just keep this variable on the left-hand side? Okay, and then we want to move the 5 to the right-hand side. How can we do that? So we can first just subtract a number 5 on both sides. So after we do the subtraction, we see that on the left-hand side, we have a 5 minus 5, which equals to 0, okay? Which means we only have a 2x left on the left-hand side. And then on the right-hand side, we have a 13 minus 5, so the result is 8. Now we see that we just have a 2x on the left-hand side, and then we just have a number on the right-hand side. So the final step is just to divide both sides by the coefficient. So we have a x equals to 8 divided by 2, which equals to 4, okay? So we know that the x equals to 4, and that is the solution for this equation, right? So you see that when you write down the equation, we always have the x equals to something. So we can imagine that, okay, I want to leave the x on the left-hand side, and then I need to do some operations so that we only have a single x. Okay, so here x equals to 4. Okay, now what if you have a slightly more complicated equations, such that you have variables on both sides and then also numbers on both sides? So again, we can try to move the variables to one side and then the numbers to the other side. So here I can move the 2x to the left and then the minus 9 to the right. Okay, so I can first subtract both sides by the 2x. And we see that the 2x actually cancel out on the right-hand side. So the 2x will be canceled out, okay? So on the left-hand side, we have a 4x minus 2x. So it is 2x minus 9 equal to a minus 3. Okay, so now at least we don't have any variables on the right-hand side, but we still need to move the numbers to the right-hand side. So what we can do is to add a 9 on both sides. So the reason I'm adding a 9 is because I want to cancel out the 9 on the left-hand side. Okay, so after we do that, we see we have a 2x equals to a 6. So on the right-hand side, we just have a 9 minus 3, so that equals to 6. And then since we now just have a some variables on the left-hand side and then the number on the right-hand side, we can just divide both sides by the number 2. So we have x equals to 6/2, which equals to 3. Okay, so because x equals to 3, and that will just be the solution of this equation. So we can just write it as x equal to 3. Okay, so that's it for today's module. So here, if we have a simple equation, so like a first degree one variable equation like this, we can always move the terms with the variables to one side, and then all the other constants to the other side. Okay, and then we can just use these properties to solve the equations. So that's it for today's module, and thank you guys for coming, and I will see you guys tomorrow. All right, so thank you guys. Bye.